Welcome to Art at Your Library. The library is proud to have a strong relationship with the arts, beginning in 1902 when the library opened with this donated work of art by Judge O.P. Shires. Enjoy the tour of our latest opening.
Hello, my name's Arsh. I'm 11 years old. I go to Kennedy Elementary School. I started painting when I was 8 years old. My family has been very supportive throughout my art journey, and I learned painting by the internet and some of my family. My biggest inspiration in art is animals and wildlife. That's what I love to paint. I sell my artwork and donate the money to kids who have cancer and I'm donating to different charities, and so far I've donated over $5,000. It's an Indian bride painting. I wanted to show this because it shows off my Indian culture. And so this is an Indian bride at an Indian palace. So it's made out of acrylic paint, some gold leaf right here, and there's some jewels and some jewelry. So I like to paint and sketch during my free time after I do school and play. So this is an abstract painting, and this inspired me by a waterfall or just rain. It's mixed media painting with abstract and gold leaf and some texture from the previous painting, because this is a refurbished painting. This is another peacock painting, but I use a different technique called decoupage. This is made up of paper flowers, some jewelry, old magazines, and some paper. And this also inspired me by some peacocks, and because they're very beautiful. So this is an Indian god painting, and I chose this painting because to showcase my culture. And this is an elephant-headed god, and it represents wealth and good luck. This is a mixed media painting. I use some jewels, some glitter, and some acrylic paint. So this is a peacock painting. This is made on a refurbished canvas, and this is made up of acrylic, some crushed glass, a real peacock feather, and some other jewelry all around. And this inspired me because I love wildlife, and peacocks are very colorful and very beautiful. These two are resin geode paintings, and this inspired me by geodes that can be found in rocks. So I've used resin, some mica powder mixed in with the resin, some gold paint right here, some crushed glass, and some few crystals. And this one has a few like glitter, and this has I applied some gold paint to the edge of the crystals or crushed glass. And this is also made of resin and mica powder. And this also inspired me by the geode. So these two are also mixed media acrylic paintings. I also used palette knife and gold leaf, and some texture was added with something called gel medium. And I've made many of these pieces just in different sizes and colors. This is a painting. I used acrylic, something called resin, and some real seashells, and some texture. So first I did acrylic, and then I hot glued some of these seashells right here, all the way from Alabama. And then I poured some resin on it, with some crushed glass in a few places. This is a butterfly and poppy painting. This is another refurbished painting that I made, and it's made with palette knife and acrylic. It's another mixed media. And as I said, it was refurbished, so it has a picture from the previous painting. And I painted this because I love butterflies and the colors. This is a flower painting, and it's acrylic paint, some paper flowers, and some gold leaf. This inspired me by nature and I love the flowers. This is a resin ocean painting done on a piece of wood, and I visited many places and oceans have inspired me the most, and these I've used some real seashells and some crushed glass. This is another ocean painting, and this is made with acrylic, and I just wanted to show this one because it shows the depth of the ocean. I want to encourage kids my age to just find their hidden talent and use it for a good reason, and just spend limited time on the screen. And like once you find your hidden talent, you can do something pretty big sometimes. So you can come down to Carnegie-Stout Library and check out all the artwork, and I'll see you later.
Hello, my name is Katie Schutte. I am an artist originally from Ohio. I moved to the area in 2016, and my educational background is actually in jewelry and metalsmithing. But regardless of what I did in academia, whatever work I'm making incorporates some aspect of the fiber technique of crochet. So I have two different series on view at the library. And the first series I have is referred to as the Stain series. Is actually started out with the intention of being t-shirt designs, which quickly snowballed into something else and became kind of their own standalone works. So in these works, each color is a layer. I have a collection of antique and vintage crochet doilies that I've inherited from all kinds of sources. I've had family members give them to me. I picked some of them up in a trip to Prague, and I received some in undergrad from a man who was the last of his family. He remembered his aunt sitting on the porch crocheting these doilies, and he goes, I have nobody to give them to, can you do something with them? So I took those doilies. I received some from my great aunt at one point as well. So kind of like the cats that I have at home, all of my doilies are rescue doilies. But so in the Stain series, they are created by taking these doilies and spraying a layer of paint through that doily. And then I just build up layers of color in the doilies. And then after the compositions are dry, I will go back in with, in this case, ballpoint pen and outline certain areas of all these different layers to kind of push and pull, bring things to the foreground, push things to the background, and to kind of finalize the composition. So these kind of are inspired by nature and the way that specimens on slides are stained so you can see them better. So the outlining actually goes in and kind of helps to clarify a form, even though they're still very abstract. So the three in the frames here were actually the first ones that I started doing and stayed with them. These are all 14 by 11. So I had a series of 15. I'm down to 5 of them now. The others have moved on to homes. But these, again, were originally the ones that I intended to be t-shirt designs, and they just really don't work for that. They really stand on their own as pieces of artwork. So eventually, after having gone through the smaller stages, I decided to move up and start spraying paint on canvas. So again, like in stain 19 here, each color is a separate layer. So there was a separate doily that I sprayed paint through. I had to wait for it to dry, had to place another doily on top, and had to spray paint through it. Wait and repeat until I was satisfied with the color application. At that point, then I would go in this case, I used black marker to outline the areas to, again, define the composition and push and pull as far as what I wanted kind of more to the foreground and the background. The second series I have on display, I refer to as the Memory series. These again, like the stains, are partially created by spraying paint through doilies, but this time, after I have applied the paint to paper for all of these, I will go back in with found fiber that again was gifted to me by somebody who was cleaning out their studio, and I will stitch through the paper and then I will crochet portions. So in this one, the green outline in this work is all fiber that I have actually sewn through in a back stitch through the actual paper. After each work is done, they are actually sewn onto another paper base and then framed. So they're almost verging a little bit on the area of 3D, but not quite. So this was actually one of the first works I did to see if it was even possible for me to kind of really do what I wanted to with these artworks. So some of these others, again, Orange and Memory 8, I sprayed paint through doilies, built up layers on this printmaking paper, and decided where I wanted to stitch on that paper. And in this case, I actually crocheted and filled whole areas with one type of crochet stitch, single crochet in this instance. So again, kind of letting me go back in, instead of using marker or pen, but using actual fiber to kind of create foreground with these works and single out areas that I like in the paintings. So, like in Memory 6, the green spots are actually remnants from a doily that has these neat pinwheel designs in it. And again, I went ahead and I outlined some, and others I decided to go ahead and completely fill in with crochet. With the Memory series, a lot of what I'm thinking about is how doilies are kind of stand-ins for the memories themselves. In this instance, the memory is never the actual event itself, and like the doilies, they're inverted, they're kind of blurred out, or they've been stitched over. They've been manipulated in a way, kind of the way that people, especially when they retell events, details change, things become very clear, other things become blurred or forgotten, omitted completely. So these memories are kind of a physical manifestation of how the human mind works when it comes to processing our experiences in life.
I'm Mary Lutes. I'm 21 years old and I'm a mixed media abstract artist. I've been painting and working on art since I was 16, and my inspiration is Jackson Pollock and Vincent van Gogh. This piece here is a mixed media piece that is an acrylic painted canvas with a cityscape on it, but the cityscape is post-it notes with nail polish drip, and it represents the chaos of the city and the people in it, and how we all come together to make a beautiful city. Piece, I was inspired by my mom, who loves magnolias, and I love peonies, so I created magnolias and peonies on a canvas. I used upcycled napkins that I thrifted, and I basically watered down modeling paste and kind of painted with the napkins in a sense, because the modeling paste and the napkins are really flexible and easy to maneuver. And the background is a stenciled flower background where I used a thick acrylic paint to add a texture to the background. And of course, the entire painting is a textured painting, and you can touch it and you get like a 3D effect to it. So this painting is a completely upcycled painting. The canvas is upcycled as well as the frame. And I basically textured the background because it was already textured, so I added more. I watercolored the bottom and top here as well as the flowers. And then the book here is an acrylic paint. And the book pieces you see around are ripped pages from an art book with gold flakes on them. And then the black detail you see here and here are leftover roll vinyls that I have printed. And then of course I upcycled the frame, gave it a quick sand down, and stuck it up. So these paintings were one of the first ones I did using makeup. So I buy clearance makeup from Walmart or Dollar General, and I basically crush it up using a spice grinder and add a white acrylic paint so that way it doesn't lose its color. And then I paint with it. So these are a pastel watercolor background paintings with bubble wrap, fishing net, and sponges added to the painting. I used bubble wrap to create bubble wrapping textures as the background also. And basically it's to represent that we need to keep our oceans clean and save the turtles in a sense. So this is a texture painting with gold flakes and splatter painted with yellow. The flower you see here is actually dried up sunflower petals, and then I hot glued them together to create a new flower, and then simply just took the leftover petals and glued them onto the canvas. I took old scraps of scrapbook paper and I burnt the edges and adhered them to the canvas with gold paint and gold flakes added to the canvas as well. Bottom corner here, this is called quilling. It's taking tiny strips of paper, rolling them up to the shape you need, and then creating images out of them. And I upcycled the frame from the store. I basically sanded it down and then framed my painting.
Hi, my name's Dan Aldeman. I've been practicing artist for maybe 3 years, I think. I started with simple spoon jewelry and pounding simple metals, and I progressively went bigger and bigger and started experimenting with natural elements in my work, driftwood, also different sorts of stone. Most of them are local, come from actually Becker's Rock Quarry. And I just love the natural movement of the pieces, the way the textures and such. You can see this limestone piece right here is quite heavy, but it just seems to work. And it's just what really I get a lot of enjoyment from. Some of the first things I started doing, this is actually the first piece that I sold. And you can see that it's really kind of crude, and that's the kind of, I liked it. I was trying to emulate really, really ancient artists, non-classical art. And this is what I came up with. Of course, I'm influenced by aliens in space, in circles, in time, in space, and I try to connect them all together with a lot of my work. I just happen to like aliens. This is my self-portrait. I think it's a good likeness of me before I had hair. And again, copper pieces. I started out pounding wings, and this piece here, Flying Light, has been with me a couple years, and it's a great piece. I love it. So, this came from O'Leary's Lake, and the stone I think came from Utah. I found it when we were on vacation, I think. And I just keep everything. I don't throw anything away. If I find it interesting, I throw it in the corner. I use ink, acrylic paints, really whatever I can find. Black ink and black marker on this piece. And I actually carved the stones out with a little chisel that I have several chisels. I just chisel out what I need. and go from there. This piece here, when you come down to see it, it's actually has art elements on all sides. And really, the piece just speaks to what I'm influenced by. Egyptian culture on one side and Mesoamerica on the other. And they probably have influenced my art more than anything, is those two cultures. So it's an important piece to me. I like it. Of course, this piece here is one of my personal favorites. I probably made this a few years ago. I kind of forget, to tell you the truth. And it was just a piece that speaks of healing. At the time, I felt that it was a healing that I needed to do. And this piece helps start the process of healing loss. So anyone that's felt that way, has felt loss and have tried to grieve, art's a beautiful way to grieve losses of friends, losses of family. And sometimes you lose things that are just still there, but you can't be with it or with them. And this is what I really all of this, I don't know how to speak to every piece. All I can tell you is circles, the number 3, movement. They're just pieces, it's just those elements just for some reason move me and lock me into some area that I want to start creating art and use. What's weird is in this space, which is a beautiful space, but this art here needs to be seen out in the sun. Sunsets are beautiful, and when it's shown indoors, into where sun's coming in the shadow effects, to me, the true art is on the shadows. This is what's making that shadow, but the shadow is the art. I really love looking at the shadows of the pieces. My art is also, what else? It's not just the physical part, it's the mental projection of what the art is creating on the wall.